Oh my gosh, I'm live. Okay. Yeah. I wasn't expecting to be nervous. Let me plug my phone in because I charged it, and apparently live likes to take your battery. So, it's Candace, co-founder and director of the Watering Hole Poetry Organization, with 12 days of free Christmas giveaways. Each day, me and a member of the tribe will be coming to you live on Facebook Live with practical tips to help you succeed as a poet or student or teacher or young professional or crane operator or fan dancer, street mime, whatever it is you do. We're going to be giving tips to help you do it better. Yesterday, Monifa did an amazing video on vision boarding. Tomorrow, Tanisha Hall is going to do a video on cleaning up your email and ombre lips. And personally, both, I need both. But my email, I mean, if y'all aren't going to judge me, I have about 25,000 unread emails in all my email accounts, and I feel like I need a meeting group or something, so Tanisha's going to be a big help for that. Today we are, I should say that we're going to do these 12 days of giveaways up until Christmas Eve, and then we're going to be doing live posts from the retreat. We're going to be live at the lake. So keep up with our Facebook page, our brand new Facebook page, which we launched yesterday with the first video. We're trying to make that our public space that people can search and find. And right now we have our private group page, which has several hundred people in it, but you can't search for us. You have to know somebody who's already in it, get invited into it. It gets kind of exclusive, right? And that's not what we want our content to be. We want our content to be free and open to the public. So we have this new Facebook page where if you want to know about us now, you can just look at the page and find out about us. You don't have to send a request, wait for the acceptance, get the welcome letter, figure out the rules of conduct. No. So this is to make it easier for everybody. And so check out our new Facebook page. Now, for my video, I haven't told you what my video is. I'm doing 5 tips for improving your cover letter. Yeah, demystifying the cover letter. And these tips come from my experience working with the Watering Hole as well as with the South Carolina Review and some other places. The rest of our staff have also worked for different journals, including Yemisi. I have to shout them out because that's the journal from my alma mater, USC. So shout out to Jennifer Bartell, shout out to Maya Marshall, who's there now, and the rest of the crew who, y'all are cool. Ethan, Fogus, all of you guys, Emma Lisa at USC are finishing up at USC. So anyway, here we go. Tips for the cover letter. Okay, so these tips should apply to poets, but also broadly. The goal of this video is to stress professionalism. In every single tip, you will see how doing the professional thing, doing the standard thing, doing the conventional thing is actually better for you when it comes to cover letters. This also gets confusing because it's specific to poetry. When people are submitting, it's there's always a question of what does a poetry cover letter look like? And so we'll go through some of those things, but it really looks different for each occasion, and we'll talk about that at the end. So my first tip is just talk about your professional work. I know that seems basic, right? But when you, as an author, or you as a whatever it is you are, whatever art or medium you work in, when you sit down and start talking about your feelings about your art, y'all go off. I know, because I've done it, so I could talk about y'all. I've done it. Y'all are doing it now. So just be careful about that. So an example is, I have been writing since third grade. I've been a poet since third grade. Don't say that. That has nothing to do with your professional life. One. And then two, everybody else can say the same thing. We all wrote poetry in third grade and loved it. Some of us, most of us loved it. That does not set you apart, and it does not say that you are a professional artist who should have this opportunity, right? Don't say, oh, I became a poet when my second grade teacher read X poem and blah, blah. No, don't do that. Don't do that either. That has nothing to do with your professional life. And it's by happenstance that it happened, right? Like everybody in your class has that same story. And everybody in every other second grade class has that same story. So it doesn't set you apart. It doesn't show that you're an elite artist or an emerging artist, however you define that. It doesn't show any of those things. So you want to make sure that you focus on your accomplishments, focus on the goals that you have set for yourself, where you've been, where you're going, what your journey as a professional poet looks like. So think about when your journey really began, when it came to professionalism. So this could be when you started when you started touring, when you started slamming, when you started submitting to publications, when you got into your program, whatever program it is. Like that would be like something that sets you apart from any other average Joe, right? Focus on that. Focus on those professional things and not the things that come out of you feeling passionate and feeling like this is something else you also don't want to say. You're focusing, remember this tip is about focusing on your professional work. Some of you guys will say, and I've said it before so I can talk about you, I just love, I'm so passionate about this art and blah, blah, blah. I love it so much. If I didn't do it, I would die. I'm so inspired and blah, blah, blah. In my spirit, I write from my spirit. Stop that. Don't do that. Because the goal is professional, standard, conventional. And those things, saying those things does not prove any of those three things that I just named, right? Saying that you're so passionate doesn't even prove that you're passionate. Saying that you would die without it doesn't even prove that you would die without it. I'm not saying you should try to prove that. Don't try to prove it. But there are other ways to communicate love, passion, investment, a spiritual connection even. There are other ways to communicate that. So you're probably looking at me like, but Candace, how? Like how, Sway? So tip number 2, here's one way you can communicate passion. Use your aesthetics. Using your own artistic aesthetics communicates passion and uniqueness, right? So telling the person, this is tip 2, using your aesthetics, telling the person that you're writing to, this cover letter to, the themes that you write about, the theories that you're considering when you're writing, the goals that you have for yourself in your writing, right? Not necessarily in your career, but in your writing. When you're writing, what are you trying to accomplish? How are you trying to accomplish that? Those are aesthetic questions. They're questions about your artistic stance, what you're trying to, your modus operandi, what you're trying to like be as an artist, right? So for example, for me, if I were to answer these questions on the spot right now, I would say that I write in the mode of Afrofuturism, that what I'm trying to accomplish is connecting the contemporary and historical Black lives, Afro-descendant lives, to mythical, science fictional, and fictional spaces. How I do that is employing African mermaids, Star Trek officers, mutants, specters and spirits, I don't know, other things. But so I use these things in order to communicate that the African diaspora extends beyond this reality that we know, extends into our mythological spaces and our science fictional spaces. So when we look at the way Klingons are policed in interstellar space in Star Trek, you see that they're policed in the same way that Black bodies are policed here in the US. If we look at the way Vulcans like control their behavior. So like, anyway, I'm about to get too far in it, but like we can see politics of respectability and Vulcan behavior. But anyway, so like all of that, by me saying what my aesthetics are, you can see passion, you can see uniqueness, it gives you something to hold on to, because now you have pictures in my head of what my work might look like. That is so different than just saying I'm passionate, right? It's so different than just saying, and I'm good at what I do, right? At this point, I've gotten somebody to buy into the idea that, hey, you know, Klingons are brothers too, or whatever. Like, you've gotten somebody to buy into that idea, and by buying into that idea, you're now interested in me as an artist who is contending for some position, right? So my point in saying that is to give you an example of what it might look like, but it doesn't have to be weird. Like, I know my stuff is weird. I know that. I almost cussed. My mama might see this. I'm glad I pulled it back. I know my stuff is weird, but yours doesn't have to be weird. If you say that part of your aesthetics comes out in, for example, a poem that you write about being a black girl in the South who's rejecting stockings and the slip. Oh, I'm so interested in what you have to write about. That's so specific. And the more specific you are in explaining what it is that you do and why, what kind of themes you cover, what kind of goals you have that you're trying to accomplish in your writing, the more specific you are, the more interesting it becomes. It doesn't have to be weird to be interesting. That's just a side note. So that's tip 2. Tip 3, we're talking about professionalism. We're talking about the cover letter. The cover letter, listen to this. Listen to me hard. The cover letter is not the space to express your creativity in format, right? The poetry is the space for you to express your creativity. The cover letter is the space to show that you are professional. Do not use some crazy format. Do not use a format at all. Don't write the letter as if you're writing to your grandmother. Like that format, don't use that. Don't use weird fonts. Do not write it in Comic Sans. Do not use 16.5. Do not include your address at the top. Don't do any of that stuff. That stuff, like by using a business letter format, which you're showing the people who are the review committee, you're showing that you take this art or this job or this opportunity seriously, that you are a professional, that you pay attention to details, that you are aware of conventional norms, i.e. professional, right? You're showing them all these things just in the format. Please, I think this is so important. It sets you apart. We're looking through, as a review committee, we're looking through hundreds of cover letters. Yours will stand out if it does not follow a cover letter format. If you want to see a sample of one, I can show you a sample of one. I'll let you know where to find it later. But this is a hard and fast rule. Don't stray from it. Don't include images or pictures unless you need to include a headshot because you're an actor or a model. Otherwise, if you're a poet, maybe. Nah, if I have to vote, I'm gonna say no. Though there are ways that you can do it professionally and it still looks good, it still communicates all the things that I said you should communicate through the format, I'm still gonna vote no, okay? Because it's just risky. It's just risky. Here's not the place where you want to take risks. You take risks in your art, right? The cover letter is the representative you send off into the world, unmonitored, without you, who is speaking for you. That's what the cover letter is. It is your representative. This is not the space to be risky. The space to be risky is your art, even your performance of the art. The cover letter, the same way when you send an attorney to mediate for you, you don't want that attorney to just suddenly decide to be Risky and fabulous. No, you want him to be professional. He is your representative. He is speaking for you or your company. Same thing with this cover letter. It's your representative. Keep it in the business letter format. Hands down, no other options. Don't stray from it. Okay, tip 4, control your tone. This also is going to seem basic, but it's a rule that gets violated a lot in very obvious ways. So do not include phrases in your letter that are something like, peace and blessings, my sister. I hope you understand that I am the original Asiatic Jew, blah, blah. No, stop. Oh, jeez. All that stuff is wonderful, but not for your cover letter, right? Maybe you can say it while you're spitting your poetry, but don't fight the revolution. Don't fight the revolution in the cover letter. Fight the revolution in your poetry, in your giving, in your volunteerism, in all of that. That's where you fight the revolution. Your cover letter is where you send a professional representative to speak for you and use a professional tone. This also includes like communicating cynicism or anger or any kind of negative emotions. The cover letter is not for that. It's going to give the reader a kind of bad taste and make the reader wonder about like what kind of person you are, that they might invite you into their space. For publications, this wouldn't matter because they're not inviting you into their space. But retreats and residencies where you have to interact with and maybe work with other people, that you don't want that kind of thing. So instead of saying, you know, X situation is effed up or is messed up, it's crazy, you would rather say something like, I saw a gap between X situation and Y situation, and here's how I address that in my work. Suddenly you're communicating through solutions, which people respond to, rather than communicating through problems, which people, it puts people on their heels and in defensive stance. Another thing to consider is that you also don't know the politics of the people who are reading your cover letter. You don't know their departmental politics, the way they consider relationships, what values they have in terms of like how they rank things. Do they really care that you're the original Asiatic Jew? Like, how do they rank things? You know, you don't know any of that. You don't know their statewide politics, their national politics, their personal stance on anything. So, understanding that, all you want from this exchange is the opportunity for whatever it is you're applying for. You don't want to change the hearts and minds of people through your cover letters. That is not even a job. That's what your poetry is for. That's what your art is for. That's not what your cover letter is for. Your cover letter is to get your foot in the door so that you have a new opportunity to get your work out, right? So keep it in your mind what the purpose of the cover letter is for, and that will help you stay in tune with like exhibiting this kind of professionalism. The 5th tip is template and tailor. Once you come up with your aesthetic statement, use it as a template for everything so that you're not rewriting anything. But, big but. Big, okay. You want to tailor everything you send out. The opportunity to work with Haki Marabuti in this space needs a different set of tailoring information than the opportunity to pursue a Peace Corps stint or Fulbright, right? They want you to achieve different things, and you have to tailor your cover letter to show that you can achieve these things that they're asking for. So tailor it for every single thing you send out, opportunity you send out for. And something else to know is that you should have different versions of your cover letter. So this is just a side note. Maybe it's tip 6. Let's do tip 6. You should have different versions of your cover letter for everything that you do professionally. You should have a poetry cover letter, for me, a teaching cover letter, an editing cover letter, whatever else, a nonprofit cover letter, since I run the watering hole with Monifa Lemons, and any opportunities I send out for, I have those different versions. If I'm sending out for an editing opportunity, they don't really care about how well I teach or what my teaching philosophy is, right? So you wouldn't want to include that information. Have different versions of your cover letter, and then tailor each of those versions to the opportunity that you're sending out for. Okay, maybe this is tip 7, but listen, when you're templating and tailoring, you're going to revisit it once every 6 months, once every year, something like that. And the thing about it is, like, as you go back and rewrite and revise, you're gonna see your own personal growth, and it's so cool. It's like journaling, right? So you're gonna look at it and you're gonna be like, man, that's what I was doing last year. Glad I'm doing something so different this year. And each year it'll be like that if you're growing as a poet, if you're growing in whatever field this is that you're working in. So that's it. Like, I think I've talked long enough. But I thank you guys for watching this video. It'll be up on the Watering Holes Facebook page, the brand new Facebook page. I challenge you guys to, if you haven't written a cover letter or sent one out, to write one this month. It's December 14th, so you have time. Write one this month and send it out. It's going to expose you to an opportunity you were previously not exposed to, and then force you to contend with your own aesthetics. And that's going to be really interesting, really important, I think, for you as an artist or whatever it is you do. So yeah, and I will include a sample I'll include a link if I can put it in the description, or I'll add it as a comment that'll link you to a sample letter for publications. Remember, publication letters are different than residency letters, than retreat letters, and things like that. And I'll also, if you click that link, it'll also lead you to an article that explains some of this more in depth, like what makes them different and what each place is looking for, how each place is different. So all of that will be linked in in either below or in a comment or whatever. If you have more tips, please put them in the comments below. I want to read them. I'm sure other people want to read them. And then also, if you like this video, please click like, please share it. Please get the word out about our brand new face page. That's where we'll be posting all of our 12 days of Christmas watering hole giveaways. And before you leave, I'm going to put a link also below where you can check out our new line of t-shirts that say I Do Baldwin, that say I Am Lord, in honor of James Baldwin and Audre Lorde. And the last thing, if you want to make a tax-deductible donation to the watering hole as one of your year-end giving things, I will include that link below. Tomorrow, Tanisha's going to release an incredible video about cleaning up your email and organizing your email. I will be watching it. I will be in attendance. And also ombre lips. So that's it for me. Happy holidays from the watering hole. See you guys later.